Roller coaster riders are told to keep their mouths closed if they don't want bugs inside. The struggling store chain called Poundland just sold for £1. And in Ghana, the Drunkards Association are upset that the liquor prices aren't coming down. These are the weird stories on Weird AF News. This is the only daily weird news podcast available, I believe. At least in this world. Roller coaster riders are urged to keep their mouths closed because of bugs. The story's out of Ohio. There's a roar heard throughout Kings Island in Mason, Ohio, but it isn't just from the crowds and the roller coasters. Cicadas have made their way to the surface this summer. This brood of cicadas is called Brood 14. It was first seen by the Pilgrims in 1634, my goodness. There's a little bit of American history involved with this particular brood, according to a local university professor. They've been emerging a little later than we expected in some places. Batavia just had an emergence last week, whereas in Loveland they started 2 weeks ago. All right, so it sounds like the cicadas are on a time release, and it's per neighborhood. Have you ever seen a cicada? It's pretty scary looking. And when you have a lot of them in what's called a brood, it makes such a loud noise. It's pretty frightening. You might think the world is about to end. And then, of course, they all die and they just cover your car's windshield. That's pretty annoying as well, I'd imagine. But I heard they go good in a smoothie, so I don't know if you guys need a protein source, but this sounds like a free protein source in Ohio. Now, over the weekend, several people shared their experiences of cicadas. This particular brood emerged on Kings Island. I never heard of Kings Island. Is that where the kings hang out? Man, I wish I was friends with some kings. You get free stuff when you're friends with a king. Okay. It's important to know that on Kings Island there's an amusement park of some sort, and there's roller coasters, and there's rides, and there's fast-moving vehicles with children screaming inside, and when you scream, and there's cicadas flying around, I assume occasionally they'll fly inside your mouth, so they want to take a precaution here. Here's a statement from what I believe is the general manager of the amusement park on Kings Island. We hope you enjoy the cicadas, but when you're on the ride, keep your mouth closed, please. Now, of course, an amusement park would say that because they want you to pay for the overpriced sausages and ice cream instead of enjoying that free, tasty, sweet cicada sundae that's flying around in front of your face. You've seen the price of concessions at these amusement parks. That's straight up highway robbery, if you ask me. It's $11 for a hot dog. You're out of your mind, Kings Island. No, I'm going to walk around with my mouth open. I'm just going to open up and say, ah, and enjoy my crunchy cicada treat. I wonder how many roller coaster rides would make a complete nutritious meal with your daily dose of protein. Any nutritionists out there? How much protein is in a crunchy cicada? Am I grossing everybody out today? I don't mean to. I'll jump back into the story because it's happiness for some people who go to the island for the rides, like Christy Daniels. She shared the moment where her young son Oliver realized that a cicada had decided to land on his shirt as they entered the park. Christy says, quote, "My son loves all things bugs and earth, but when it comes to the cicadas, I don't know if it's the legs or the noises that they make, but it just creeps him out." Wow, that was riveting, wasn't it? Nice to know how Christy's son feels about cicadas. I wonder what this helicopter parent's going to do to protect her son from the noise. She's going to walk around with her hands over his ears the entire time? Probably. It looks like they also interviewed one of the cicadas, named Rico, who said, quote, "Hey, if you're at the park, you know what? I'd keep my mouth shut if I were you." So it sounds like Rico is part of the cicada mafia, it would seem. It's awfully weird to have, like, what is it, every summer? Or not every summer, but many summers, these cicadas just emerge and they're just everywhere and they're loud and they're annoying and they fly into your face. This is just another barrier to living in the Midwest, in my opinion. There's many reasons. There's probably some areas where there's cicadas and tornadoes, and then once in a while there's a cicada tornado. I mean, I don't know why you would live like that. Whatever you do, though, do not move to Southern California. It's awful. You'd hate it. You would really hate it. It's just a terrible place. 84 degrees every day, no bugs. I mean, it's just awful. Poundland, the struggling bargain store where everything costs a pound, just sold for a pound. Poundland is owned by a Polish firm called Pepco. They just confirmed that they sold the brand for a nominal sum to a U.S. investment firm called the Gordon Brothers. Oh, they sold it to a U.S. investment firm. They're going to really screw it up now. Poundland has 825 UK stores and around 16,000 staff. Poundland was struggling to compete with other discount stores with sales down this January and February. I'm really surprised to hear that Poundland is struggling over there in the UK, given the state of affairs in the world. The economy is pretty bad all over, from what I thought. In the US, the economy is bad, and our dollar stores are thriving. But it sounds like maybe Poundland's experiencing some mismanagement or something. Let's keep reading. Let's find out about Poundland. I never heard of Poundland until I started doing a dollar store joke in my act, and then somebody from the UK approached me and said, "Hey, we got a store that's just like that called Poundland." And I was like, "Is that similar to Pound Town?" And they're like, "No. But I've heard of Pound Town, and I brought a few guests there." The article says that Pepco has owned Poundland since 2016, and the brand over the years has been well loved with millions of customers annually. It sounds like it's just as popular as the dollar store that we have over here. People love getting things for $1 or a pound. The products aren't any good, but it's just $1 or a pound. Who cares? Just try the poison baby food that they have there. Why not? Why not get that can opener that only opens fingers and doesn't open cans? Yeah, the dollar store does miracles. Stuff is so cheap. Sometimes I'll buy something just to see what it is. Yeah. One time I bought a breastfeeding kit. I was like, I don't know. I've never seen a breastfeeding kit because I don't own a baby. Never have owned a baby. Will never own a baby. Anyways, I just thought I would check out a breastfeeding kit. I thought to myself, I don't know. In a wonderful world, maybe it comes with a breast. I don't recommend the frozen shrimp, which the dollar store sells. So, that's very daring to go into that area. When you're going into seafood, I don't think that's where you want to be when you're at the pound store or the dollar store. You want to kind of just keep it to dry goods in general, although they have some very nice left-handed squirt guns, I noticed. Awesome. Have you ever visited the aisle of misfit flavors that they have? That's what I call it, the aisle of misfit flavors at the dollar store. That's where products were made that have strange flavors, and it didn't work out. The people didn't buy them in the regular stores, and then they go into the dollar store. They're just these Frankenstein flavors that nobody wants, but people will try them for the right price. Apparently, basil flavored Pop-Tarts, that kind of thing. They have popsicles at the dollar store. Like what flavor? Cherry? No. Lobster flavored Pop-Tarts. It's the dollar store after all. Okay, back to the Poundland store story. They sold for a pound. I find that hard to believe, but that's what it says. They sold for a pound. I don't know how. Can you sell that? How do you sell the franchise for a pound? Sounds like some squirrely finances going on here. Some shady tax deals, and or just a terrible negotiation on the part of Poundland. I mean, you could have at least got £2 for the franchise, wouldn't you think? Okay, despite the sale, Poundland is still going to be managed by the current managing director named Barry. Barry will continue to operate under the Poundland brand in the UK and under the Deals brand in the Isle of Man and Republic of Ireland. Here's a quote from Barry. He says, "We want to sincerely thank all the people that come to Poundland, and we want to thank the the Poundland team for their ongoing commitment and contribution to the Poundland Group. And Barry and his team are looking towards the future where Poundland will operate at a profit and continue to give the public the Poundland products that they have known and loved over the years. And there is a commitment at Poundland to continue to keep the price low at around a pound. That way, the customers don't get completely shafted at Poundland.
The Coca-Cola Company and its system of independent bottlers is an American story, contributing $59 billion to the American economy by sourcing many of its ingredients and packaging materials right here within the United States. It also supports 860,000 American jobs and invests $128 million in community empowerment programs across the country. Locally bottled, nationally loved. Learn more at coke.com/US Impact.
The Drunkard Association in Ghana warns the government to reduce alcohol prices or they're going to shut down all the bars. This story is obviously out of Ghana, which is in West Africa, in case you don't know. The Ghana Drunkards Association is up in arms, and they are angry, and they've mobilized themselves and issued a 3-week ultimatum to the Ghana government. They've told them that they need to reduce the prices of alcoholic beverages in the country or face a massive nationwide protest from their reported 16.65 million members. That sounds like a lot of members for a drunkards association, considering the population of Ghana. I just looked it up. It's 33 million, so 16 million of those are members of the Ghana Drunkards Association. That's, in case you're wondering how much liquor is being tossed back over in Ghana. Basically, half of the country are drunkards, apparently, just functioning alcoholics. In a video posted on X over the weekend, a man identified as Moses, believed to be the Ghana Drunkards Association's leader or spokesperson, said that the government must act swiftly in response to the recent appreciation of the Ghanaian cedi, which he said should have led to a reduction in alcohol prices. I don't know. He wants the government to adhere to the cedi. I guess the cedi, is that a law or a bill of some sort? A credence, maybe? Written on a clay tablet. I don't know how they do it in Ghana. Here's a quote from Moses, the apparent leader. They don't really know, but they say he's believed to be the Drunkard Association's leader. It's a big mystery who the leader is, I suppose, because everybody's slurring their words. It's just hard to figure out who's in charge around there. Okay, so Moses has something to say. Here's a quote from Moses. To date, the prices of alcoholic beverages keep going up. If you purchase alcohol, there is an increment of about 15%, and this affects the vendors. We've learned that the cedi has gained some strength and the price of some items has been reduced. However, the cost of alcohol overall remains high. We are therefore calling on President John, did you know the president of Ghana's name is John? Oh, that's a surprise to learn. President John Dramani Mahama and his Minister for Trade and Industry to do something about the high alcohol prices. We've given them a 3-week grace period to meet us so we can deliberate on how to reduce the prices of alcohol. We are not making this call for only alcoholic drinks, but for the non-alcoholic drinks as well. Well, sounds like the Drunkard Association is pretty serious, and you should listen to the demands of these alcoholics, I say. It's half your population, bro. So, because apparently it's very easy to join the Drunkards Association. You just have to pass a bar exam. Hey. All right, guys. I'm not energetic today, but, the puns are still going to flow. All right, let's wrap up the story. I'm curious to know if the Drunkards Association is going to organize a march through downtown. I assume it'll be more like a stumble rather than a march, but, they might want to mobilize and, make some signs, get that alcohol price down so they can keep living their best lives. The Drunkard Association says that if the government does not meet and deliberate on how to reduce the prices of alcohol, they will protest. So I guess they'll go on a drinking strike of some sort. They'll just move to water for a period of time until I don't know. If you're a booze hound, though, it's hard to wean yourself off. Alcohol can get a hold of you. One of the more difficult substances to kick. The end of the article says, this warning from the Drunkards Association follows... It's a warning from... How serious do you think they take a warning from a Drunkards Association? Well, I mean, in most cases, not seriously, but because it's 16 million, apparently, which I find very hard to believe that half your population is a member of this association, given, there's a percentage of the population that are children. So, are you saying, nearly all of your adults are part of the Drunkard Association? Anyways, this warning follows a remarkable rebound by the Ghanaian cedi in 2025, which has appreciated nearly 50% against the US dollar. Oh, the cedi is their currency. Look at that, guys. We're learning. In Ghana, they use something called a cedi, and it's spelled CEDI. It's been the best performing currency globally so far this year. Can you believe that? It opened the year at about 15 cents per dollar and now trades close to 10 cents per dollar. So sounds like investing in the cedi is a good move. And if you're going to establish any business in Ghana, I'm going to say a bar, clearly, or breathalyzer devices for the law enforcement. That'd be probably an effective business over there. What are the drunk driving laws in Ghana? I'm curious. Oh, a quick little search says that drunk driving is a significant problem in Ghana. Get out of town. You're kidding me. With 16 million members of the Drunkard Association, I would have never thought. Studies indicating a high prevalence of drivers in Ghana have detectable alcohol levels in their system. Many exceed the legal limit. This contributes to road traffic accidents and poses serious public health risks. Efforts to address this issue include enhanced enforcement, driver education, stricter laws, etc. Well, lowering the price of alcohol isn't going to help that, but it'll keep him happy. And, if half your population is a member of this organization, you want to keep them happy. I don't know why we don't have this in the States, because the price of booze has really gotten out of control. Not so much in the stores, more so out at bars. Who can afford to drink out at bars now? Mixed drinks, $15 and up now. Beers, $10, very common. At least in California, these are the prices that we're paying. It's out of control. If you go to any bar in Southern California and you want just a margarita, let's just say you want a very simple margarita, that's going to be over $13 easily. You can't find one, even $10. Shame. One of the fallouts to this is that no one can afford to be a, quote, regular at a bar anymore out in Southern California. Remember the show Cheers, where everybody knew your name? Those guys were there every day having beers. Well, yeah, you have to be a billionaire to go to the bar every other day, or even 3 days a week. And I think that's really bad. I think the culture is missing out on that, because that was a special thing. Your local bar, your what's called a watering hole, where you can get together, you see familiar faces, everybody knows each other. That's kind of disappearing in California and probably the rest of the country as well. I'm not sure. So, yeah, we should be bringing down the price of alcohol in establishments. Please, does anybody know anybody? Is there a Drunkard Association of the United States that I need to get with? Please email me, funnyjones@gmail.com.
The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. 21 plus and present in Virginia. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, my friends and loyal listeners of the Weird AF News podcast extravaganza. Thank you for joining me for this episode of shenanigans, tomfoolery, and just straight up strangeness. High strangeness, as they say. I appreciate everybody that reached out to me over the weekend, sending me articles, commenting on the Florida Friday story, which is a pretty big hit, it sounds like. Also, I want to give thanks and praise to JoJo. JoJo bought me some coffees. JoJo, longtime fan of the show. Beautiful woman in Texas. Just digs the show, digs me. What a lucky guy I am to have listeners like JoJo. She bought me coffees off my website, weirdafnews.com. Not for any other reason except for that it was Father's Day. And although I'm not even a daddy, well, I am a pod daddy. but JoJo bought me coffees. She wrote, "Happy Zaddy's Day, you weirdo." Isn't that hilarious? Sweet. She's amazing. Shout out to JoJo. We love her, and her ongoing support is so appreciated and needed by me. This lone podcaster inside a closet. This is what gets me by. I hope all of the fathers had a lovely weekend. Shout out to all the daddies that listen to Weird AF News. Happy Father's Day to ya. I am not a daddy in the usual sense, in that I have no children and I had a vasectomy. So Jonesy's never going to be a real daddy, but will forever be a pod daddy. So, that's what really concerns you, I'd imagine. So lucky you. I'll always be here for you. I'll be your pod daddy. And if you want to buy Pod Daddy a coffee, go to weirdafnews.com. Join the Patreon, why don't you? That'll make Pod Daddy very happy. And don't you want to please Pod Daddy? Yes, you do. I know you do.